Hello. Hey, good morning. In last class, we were discussing about what is the differences between router and firewall. Okay, so
Okay,
just go through a recap and we'll go further. Okay,
good.
so here router is a device which transfers the data between the networks, but in case of firewall, it filters the traffic between the networks. We can say. Okay, so router is transferring the data, but firewall it is filtering the data which is going between the networks. And see, like this filtration of traffic, we can do by router ACLs also. We discussed in the earlier classes, we have types of ACL, that is standard and another one is extended access list is there, right? By using this access list, we can filter the data. But however, having said that, if you have like a big organization, it will be very difficult to write that many ACLs in that many routers. Okay, so that's why we won't go through the firewall. And one more, the disadvantage of router is, okay, what I can say, it just checks source, destination, and port. If it is matching, then it's allow or deny the traffic as per the ACL what we have configured, or you know what we have wrote there, I can say. But however, it won't check any TCP state. Okay, so but in case of firewall, it has that capability. That's the differences between router and the firewall. Okay, sorry.
Okay,
Yeah. So firewall is a network security system. Okay, it means a system it is. Okay, that is monitoring and filtering the traffic based on the rules defined by the network administrator. Network administrator is the one who is working on the firewalls, I can say. Okay, so here monitoring and filtering. Just concentrate on the filtering. Filtering traffic based on the rules. What is these rules here? These are the conditions, we can say. So if you remember in the access list, okay, so here what we are doing, we are writing some conditions stating that if the source is this one, then allow in the standard access list. In case of extended access list, what we are doing, if source IP is this, destination IP is this, and port is this, then take the action accordingly. In a similar fashion, in the firewall also, we'll write some rules saying that what is the source IP, what is the destination IP, what is the port they are trying to access, and what is the action has been allowed, whether it is allow or deny. Okay, so we'll write the list of conditions in the firewall. Okay, so what happened when once the traffic enter into the firewall, it checks the rules from top to bottom. Okay, suppose we have consider 10 rules are there. Okay, okay, so it takes from top to bottom. First rule 1, rule 2, rule 3, rule 4, like that. Okay, if the traffic which is going to the firewall, it is matches the rule 2. Okay, rule 2 it is matched, so we can say here we have some source, destination, port, it is matching here. Okay, so once it is matched, it won't check further, it will take the action accordingly and it will go further. Okay, if it is not matched, then it will come down. Next third rule, next fourth, next five, next six, like that it will check from top to bottom. Okay, this is the functionality of the firewall. Okay, and one more thing, like what firewall does, it establishes a barrier between trusted internal network and untrusted external networks, I can say. Okay, so trusted internal network in a sense inside an organization. This is the trusted internal network, that is LAN inside office. This is the firewall, and this is internet. Okay, so it is establishing the barrier between internal network to external network, right? Okay, this is about that. And so here a firewall working on like based on the IP addresses and the ports. Okay, if you remember, we are filtering the traffic based on IP addresses and the port number. Okay, so that's why we can tell firewall works on based on IP address and ports. So here the IP addresses comes in the OSI model of network layer, and the ports comes under transport layer. So we can say firewall works on the network and transport layer. Okay, this is about a firewall introduction. Okay, we have two types of firewalls here. One is a stateless firewall and unstateful firewall. Okay, so for now, just keep it in mind that, okay, stateless is also called ACLs. Okay, like ACLs, what we are writing in the router, okay, that is called ACLs, right? So stateless firewall is nothing but a router. It is okay, but in case of stateful, it's a normal firewall. Okay, that is the one difference. So what is the stateless firewall? Stateless firewall is also called access control list, but stateful firewall it won't. Okay, that is one thing. Because stateless firewall it doesn't know which TCP state of the traffic, I can say, but stateful firewall it should aware of that. Okay, S- and one more the difference is session table. Okay, so stateless firewall it won't maintain any session table. Okay, but in case of stateful firewall it maintain the session table. Okay, so what is a session? We are discussing, right, what is session table. Okay, so let's see what is session table. Okay, suppose okay, consider that you have a firewall here. Okay, so there is some traffic going there. So source is 1.1.1.1, destination is 2.2.2.2, and port is 443. Okay, so here we wrote the rule. Okay, consider that there are some 100 rules here. So just some around, like 20, we write the rule, and from top to bottom it is verifying, it is matching the rule. Okay, whether accept or deny it doesn't matter. Okay, but it matches the rule. So then what that time what happened? It will allow the traffic for the first time. Then it will save this session saying that, okay, sometime back the traffic is going to the rule 20. Okay, with this source destination port number, let's save it in the some database. That some database that is called session database. Okay, so next time if the same traffic is coming through the firewall, then it won't check it. Okay, directly it will go through session table, and it will verify whether it is action allow or deny. Okay, so clear,
Okay.
like what is session
Yeah.
table?
Oh, good.
So once the traffic is going through the firewall, it will maintain the session, saying that on
Mm,
which source destination port the traffic went through. Okay, for that,
mm,
I mean, some timeout time configuration will be there on the session table. Okay, until
mm,
unless, suppose, if the traffic is going right, so it matches. Okay, suppose consider that 15 minutes, something like that. Okay, so it will establish a session for the 15 minutes. Okay, for these details, if the traffic is coming within 15 minutes, it won't check the firewall rules, it will check the session table, then it will go further, and after 15 minutes this session will be erased, then again it should go through the firewall only. This is about, the differences between session table. Okay, so stateless
okay.
firewall it doesn't maintain any session table. So what happened, each and every time if the traffic is coming, it has to go through firewall only. Okay,
Mm,
but in case of
okay.
stateful, if session is available it will go through session, if not it will go through firewall. That is the differences between, a stateless and stateful firewall. Okay,
Mm,
let's see. And like, in the market, we know what is firewall now. Okay, so if you can see in your mobile, okay, what is what mobile is doing? See, like, we are having n number of companies who is available in the market, starting from, Nokia, Samsung, iPhone, Realme, Redmi, whatever. Like
mm,
there are many names I can say. Whoever the company manufacturer he is, but the functionality of the mobile is same, right?
yeah, same.
Yeah. So in a similar fashion, whoever in the firewall also you are having many vendors. Okay, like whoever the vendor it is, the functionality is same. Okay,
Right.
so these are the like some of uh, well-known firewall vendors who is leading the market, I can say. So one is Checkpoint, FortiGate, Juniper, Palo Alto, and Cisco. Okay, so like long back, recent Cisco is is the leader in the market. Okay, but recent days, these firewalls came. Okay, so we can say there is less market for these Cisco firewalls. Okay, but however, still people are using this. Okay, so here if you can see, Checkpoint, FortiGate, Juniper is there, right? So our course mainly related to checkpoint firewall. Okay.
Okay.
So, however, I know like as I mentioned, the functionality the same. Okay, but the firewall GUI will be different. Something like the how it is handling the traffic is all different. Okay, but at the end, functionality is same. Okay, so our main focus will be on checkpoint firewall. Okay, and once we completed checkpoint firewall, like a theoretical and practical concepts, then we will go through I can say like some basic configurations will be there. Okay, like whatever in the organization we do, like rule configuration. Okay,
Okay.
and VPN configuration, verifying the logs. See, in any organization, if you go, first and foremost thing, if any connectivity is not working, we have to check the rule and we have to check the logs. Okay, then if you want to establish any connectivity, we need to have VPN between the other partners. Okay, we'll discuss about like a VPN stands for virtual private network. We'll discuss about in the upcoming classes. Okay, for now just I know we'll focus on checkpoint firewall mostly, but in other firewalls also we'll go to some basic I can say whatever whatever is required. Okay, we will check discuss on other firewalls also. Okay, that's the context here I want you to understand. Okay,
Okay.
so like if any device is there, okay, suppose you have a mobile also, right? It is having some socket like pin to charging, right? So in a similar
Mm.
fashion, okay, it's like it's a bad example, but still, okay. So if you have any network device, whether it is router or switch or something, okay, it should be having some interface. Interface means where we are connecting. Connecting point is called interface. Okay, so so if here we have, in the firewalls, we have two kinds of firewalls. Okay, one is interface-based firewalls and zone-based firewalls. Okay, so here, like based on interfaces, the traffic filtration will happen. Okay, so consider that this is the firewall. Okay, there are many interfaces. Okay, so it's connected to something. Okay, so what happened? It is connected to some and LAN, router and LAN. So somehow it is connected like this. Okay, so here what happened? So we have like we have L3 means it's a gateway. Okay, so router is there and switch suppose consider it's a router, right? And switch is there
Mm.
and some LAN is there. Okay, this is how it is connected, right? Actually, so here to move towards another network. Okay, suppose it's let me write a big example here. Like let me write mm, big diagram so that it will be helpful. Mm, yeah, so we have many computers in a LAN in a network. Okay,
Mm.
these are connected to switch. Okay, so like that we have many switches also here. Okay, okay, so these switches are connected to a router. Okay, so consider that it's one block. Okay, just
Okay.
for example. So like this, we'll be having n number of blocks: A, B block, C block, D block, like that. Okay, all these are connected to firewall. Firewall one interface only, we can say. Okay, so they have something here. Okay, one more router is there. So consider that it's your server, it's your computer. You're trying to access some server here. Okay, so again it's connected. So here from router it is connect. One second. Yeah. So here like we have one more router. Consider like that. Okay. So if your traffic is trying to access from A to your server B. Okay. So the traffic, it has to go through switch, then router, right? So next point. Okay. L3 means next point. That is gateway. Okay. So if you remember, like next hop we can call it as, okay, or gateway we can call it as, okay, where it has to go, whether it is configured in the router only or in the firewall. Okay, if it is configured in the firewall, the traffic will come here, then it will check the next hop in the firewall routing table. Firewall routing table. In a similar way, how router is having a routing table, firewall also is having routing table. Okay, so once the traffic
Mm,
is reached, okay, then this firewall has to forward the traffic to reach the destination, right? So
mm,
this firewall will forward the traffic to the destination based on the routing table again. Okay,
mm.
so if the next hop is configured in the firewall, okay, that's what I'm telling here. Okay, if L3 means it's the next hop or the gateway is configured in the firewall, between interface also we need to enable the rules. Okay, so here I was mentioning here like this we have many interfaces. Okay, so if gateway is
Okay.
configured in the firewall, if we want to communication between A to some here D, okay, so traffic it has to come here and here, like this it would be. Okay, so in that case also we have to enable the rules in the firewall. Okay, that's what it is. So if gateway is configured in the firewall, between the interfaces also we need to enable the rules. That is about interface based. But zone based, you know what happened, multiple interfaces are grouped as a zone. Okay, so here like many interfaces will be there. Okay, so they'll consider this is one group, this is we can naming as one zone, first zone, something same like that. Okay, this zone is called some different zone. Okay, consider this server zone, that is the user zone. Okay, so by
Okay.
default, whoever is there within the zone, okay, users are there, Wi-Fi users are there, some customers also is there. Okay, they can be able to communicate with each other easily. But if they want to communication between one zone to another zone, we have to write the enable. We have to write the firewall rules, I can say. Okay, so within the zone, no filtration by default. But between the zones, between the zones, we need to enable the firewall rules. Okay, clear?
Yeah, clear with it.
Okay, that's about like what is firewall, and what is stateless firewall and stateful firewall, and
Mm,
what is interface based and zone based firewalls. Okay,
mm.
now let's start with the actual of checkpoint firewall concepts. Okay, so checkpoint firewall works on stateful inspection technology. Okay, so we know what is stateful firewall, right? Stateless firewall and stateful firewall we know, no? So stateful firewall works like we can say it maintain the session table and it verify the TCP state also. One is session table and TCP states, or we can say instead of TCP state we can say packet state. Okay, so checkpoint firewall works on a stateful inspection technology. Okay, so the latest versions, like what I have started working from, are 75.40. Now it went through R77.30, and directly it went through R81, R80.10. These are the versions, I can say. Okay, so like similar kind of it's a OS. Okay, so if you see your any application, whatever you install on your mobile, it should be having some version. Okay, so in the similar fashion, if for the checkpoint firewalls also, they will operate on some OS. Okay, so that OS now what is running in the market is R81.10. Okay, so what they did from version to version, they're enhancing the features. They're enhancing the flexibility for the administrator to filter the traffic. Okay, so like it will see the enhancement, it never stopped, it will go like that. Okay, so this is about the versions what is available. Okay, and see if any device is there, so suppose we can say router. Okay, it should be having some operating system to run, right? So here we can say iOS for the router. Okay, but in case of firewall also, like for checkpoint, they're having some three operating system, that is ipso, splat, and gaia. So here ipso and splat are like a pretty old operating systems. Now gaia is running in the market. Okay,
Okay.
yeah. Now let's see how what is the architecture of this checkpoint firewall. Okay, so checkpoint having a three-tier architecture, we can say. So what is this three-tier? Okay, so we will perform the action or the configuration in the firewall within three steps, we can say, three modules, we can say. Okay, so we have one is, one second. So like we can say checkpoint follows three-tier architecture, and it has three modules. One is smart console, and another one is security management server and security gateway. Okay, so like how it works. Okay, yeah. So security console, management server, and gateway, right? This is how it would be. Let me show you. So smart console, consider it a smart console. Okay, and security management server and gateway. Here, security gateway is the actual firewall. Okay, but why these two required? Let's see. Okay, so what we have to do in the security gateway, we have to write some rules, right? Okay, so here how, but in case of router, we are directly logging into the router and we are doing. But in case of firewall, that is specific checkpoint firewall, how we have to do. Okay, so first let's see what is smart console. Okay, smart console is nothing but it's a set of applications. Okay, so by using these applications, we can write the rules. We can write rules, and we can view the rules. We can create the objects. Okay, here object is nothing but either hosts or networks or services, ports, whatever it is. Okay, so by using smart console application, we are creating the firewall rules. We are adding the users who need to have access to the firewall, and here we are creating objects. Objects include host, everything. Okay, so this is what smart console will do here. So the functionality of smart console is to create or anything, to create or view anything. That is the functionality of smart console application. And we have next one is security management server. Whatever you are creating by using smart console, it will be stored under security management server. Okay, whatever you do, whatever the action it is, either add, delete, irrespective of the action what you are performing by using smart console applications, it will stored in the security management server. Like in the short terms we can call it as SMS, security management server. Okay, so that what are the changes you are doing, it will be saved in the security management server. Is it clear? So suppose by using smart console application, we write it some firewall rules, like some 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 firewall rules we wrote. Okay, and these firewall rules will be saved in security management server. Okay, by saving the policy. But actually, where the traffic has to filter, on the firewall, right? And from the security management server, we have to push this configuration to the firewall. Okay, this is where the actual traffic will be filtered. Okay, so checkpoint follows threaded architecture. It has in three modules. One is smart console, management server, and gateway. So smart console is having set of applications which will help us to create or view anything in the firewall. And whatever you are creating by using smart console applications, it will be saved under management server. Okay. However, we have to push that configuration to the firewall, then only it will be applicable to the traffic which is going through it. If not, if it will be blank, right? Because suppose you write new rule, it is saved here, but it has to apply here, right? So if it has to apply means we have to push the configuration to here. Okay, this pushing the configuration we can call it as installing the policy. Installing the policy is nothing but pushing the configuration. Okay, so some configuration like some organization what they call policy push also they will tell policy push, install configuration, like both are same. Okay, so we have to just remember pushing the configuration from management server to gateway, then only the changes will be applicable. Okay, so is it clear?
Yeah, clear with it.
Yeah. So this is what I'm mentioning here. Okay. So what is Smart Console? Smart Console is a set of GUI application. GUI stands for Graphical User Interface. Okay. So Smart Console is a set of GUI applications that allow security administrators. Security administrator is who are the one taking care of enabling the firewall rules, all these things. Okay. Like us, like me, I can say. Okay. So set of application that allows security administrator to configure and manage the global security policies for the entire organization. Okay, so like security policies for the organization I can say. Okay, so in the earlier versions we have smart dashboard, monitor, tracker, log. Okay, so here smart dashboard is one of the application to write anything, to create anything. We have dashboard. Okay, to view smart view monitor. Okay, to monitor anything, what is the load on the CPU, what are the routing tables which is available in the firewall, all these things we will be able to see or view from the smart view monitor. Okay, a smart view tracker, it is to verify the logs. Okay, so if the traffic is going to the firewall, okay, we have one more option called track option is there. If you enable the track option, what is the traffic is going through firewall, we'll be able to see what is going through it. That is what called as log. Okay, so to view the logs, we are having some separate application called Smart View Tracker. So these are the main three. Okay, so these three applications which were widely using when we were using the version R77.30. Okay, so in case of R77.30, to configure, if you want to configure anything, we have to log into some specific application called Smart Dashboard. Okay, and if you want to see anything, we have to log into Smart View Monitor. To verify the logs, we have to log into Smart View Tracker in case of R77.30. But having said that, this everything, whatever it is there, it is integrated into only one platform. Instead of having different applications, they built one applications when it comes to R80.10 series. So they directly jumped into R77.30 to R80.10. When they're upgrading their OS, they they have excluded all the different applications for different purpose. Okay, altogether they kept in only one application from R80.10 versions. Okay,
Mm.
this is not only the difference. Okay, one more difference was there. So in case of R77.30 version, okay, if any network administrator or security administrator is logged into firewall and he is doing some modifications in the firewall rules, okay, so only he can do. If anyone want to try again at the same time, but here the checkpoint won't allow, like more than one person to log into firewall and to do modifications, I can say. So we can log in, but we won't be able to do modifications. Okay. So in case of R77.30 versions, okay, only one administrator can write, I can say, modify the configuration or write the configuration in the firewall. Okay, so if anyone want to write again at the same time, it's not possible. Okay, but they'll be able to just view the configuration, only view permissions or read permissions, I can say. Okay, so but in case of RIT versions, okay, n number of people can log in at the same time and they can do modifications also. Okay, so suppose A network engineer is there, B network engineer is there. Okay, so A is doing some configuration and B is doing some other configuration. Okay, they can do, or we have the feasibility in R80.10 versions to make the configuration at the same time. But what happened, until unless it is saving the changes, A has to save the changes, then only B will be able to view those changes which is performed by A. If not, they won't be able to see the changes, I can say. It goes with vice versa. If you have like 10 users who is configuring in the who are modifying the configuration in the firewall, okay, so until unless they saved the configuration, no one will be able to see that. Okay, this is about smart console and what are the version differences between R77.30 and R80.10. Okay, so like this is the first component, right? In the three-tier architecture, smart console is the first component, and we can say first module, and security management server is the second module, right? So here, if you can see, it contains the global policies for the organization. Global policies is nothing but it's the firewall rules. Okay, so are you with me?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So like smart management server, like it contains the policies for an organization. Okay, and these policies are defined using the smart dashboard. Okay, but however, the policy will be saved in the management server only. Okay, so what does it mean? Here you are taking a help of another application, that is smart dashboard, to create the firewall rules. Okay, but however, once you saved it, it will have to store in the management server only. This is what it is. Okay, and this object contains data user, I mean object databases, user databases, security rules, log, everything. Okay, so here we have these three things, right? Okay, so yeah, so here smart console is communicating with security management server by saving the changes. Okay, and this security management server has to install the policies to gateway, right? Okay, so here installing like uploading means installing the policies security rules to a gateway, and what is the traffic it is going through, it is going through this firewall. Okay, and whatever the logs it is there, it is passing to the security management server. Okay, so here if you can see, security management server interacts with the security gateway by uploading the security rules. It means by saving the security rules to gateway, b- and by receiving the logging information from the security gateway. So whatever the traffic it is going through the firewall, we want to see that. So if you want to see it, this logs has to push to this security gateway, and then we'll be able to see that. Okay, so we can say security management server and gateway are communicating with each other by uploading the policies and by pulling the rules, I can say, not the rules, pulling the logs information. Okay, this is what it is. And so here security management server is there, no? It can be installed under different OS. So if you are running anything, it should be having some operating system, right? So in a similar fashion, for the security management server, it can run on different operating system, that is Windows, IPSO, Splat, and VMs also. Okay, this is about security management server. Okay, so the last module is security gateway. So security gateway is nothing but it's an actual firewall. Okay, security gateway is installed on located on where we need to apply the security rules. Okay, so we'll keep this firewall wherever we want to block the traffic. This is what it is. Wherever you know uh, configure the firewall, but we need to enable some rules. Then only it will be able to access that. Okay. So here the security rules created by using smart dashboard. I mean, as I mentioned here, We are creating everything by using smart dashboard, and we are saving the policy into management server, and we are installing the policy to made it to gateway. So this is what it is. So security rules are created using smart dashboard, are saved into security management server. Okay, and then installing the policies, the rules will be pushed to the gateways. This is about checkpoint architecture. Okay, so here we have three modules, right? Console,
Yeah.
console, SMS means security management server, and gateway. So here the communication between these three modules, it will be in the secure manner. Okay, so we can say the communication between these three modules is secure internal communication. Secure internal communication. So anyone will ask you, what is the how checkpoint modules will communicate with each other? We can say it's a secure internal communication. In the shortcuts, we can say it is
Then your
SIC.
voice is
Now is it clear?
uh,
Hello?
not clear.
Yeah. So we can say the checkpoint modules will communicate with each other with secure internal communication. Okay. So we can say it is SIC, secure internal communication. This is about checkpoint three-tier architecture. It's a very important one to aware of it. Okay. So let's see, we have some deployment modes. Okay. So deployment modes is nothing but how we are deploying the checkpoint firewall. Okay. So by default, checkpoint firewall having, three components, right? That is, let me show you here. Okay. Smart console, management server, and gateway. Okay. So here, okay, deployment, how we deployment modes in the sense, how we are deploying the firewall here. Okay. We have two ways. One is standalone deployment, and another one is distributed deployment. Okay, let's see what is standalone deployment and distributed deployment. Okay, so in case of standalone deployment, okay, smart console smart console will be installed on one platform. Consider it's a one mission or something. Okay, and management server and security gateway installed on the one platform. Okay, so
Okay.
here what happened, we have three components, right? Actually, smart console,
Yeah.
management server, and gateway. So here we are
Okay.
installing the smart console application in only one server. Okay, and these two things are will be installed on only one server. Okay, but however, it is defeating the checkpoint architecture, right? What is checkpoint architecture? We need to have some three different servers for these three things. Okay, so why it is a risk actually. Like let's see, why? Because see, if anything, see, by using smart console, what we are doing, we are just configuring and viewing the rules. That's it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, if anything happened to security management server, everything will go here. If anyone having issue, security gateway also will be down because it's running on the only one server. Okay, you got my point.
Yeah.
If anything happened to the server, both security management server and gateway, everything is gone. There is no other things for us. Okay, so so if you keep these things in a different you know platforms, I can say this is one, this is one, this is one. Okay, so though for some reason it is went down. Okay, so we lost this device. Okay, but however we are having configuration saved in the security management server. No, so we can install the policies here. In the vice versa, it will go. So if you're having some issue on the security management server, we have the configuration available in the security gateways. Then we can pull, we'll create a new management server and we can pull the configuration from the gateways or the firewalls, I can say. Okay. So here what it is. Okay. So in case of standalone deployment, smart console is installed on one platform and management server getting gateway installed on the other platform. Okay, the risk here is both management server and gateway installing on the one platform. So if both will be installed on one platform, if any issue happen to the server, both gone. Management server and gateway both gone. So we won't have anything. And it's defeating the checkpoint architecture. So checkpoint is recommending. So that's why we have three modules here. Okay, if not, we can keep in only one device, right? We doing editing,
Mm.
configuring everything. So if this is a risk, right? That's why Checkpoint came up with three different components. That is Smart Console, Management Server, and Gateway. It should be installed on the three different platforms. Then only we can say it is following the three-tier architecture. Okay, so it is not following the three-tier architecture here, right? That's why we are telling standalone deployment is defeating the checkpoint architecture, and it won't be recommended. Okay, only for small organization where they are having budget constraints, no, they are having risk. So if they agree with the risk, if anything happened to the server where we have installed management server and gateway, yeah, they can go with the deployment mode of standalone also. But they should accept the risk. If anything happen, they are responsible for that. Okay, so that's why we have distributed deployment, that is actual checkpoint architecture. Okay, so here if you can see the first point itself, this distributed deployment mode is already known as three-tier architecture. Okay, okay, and each component installed on the different platforms. Smart console will be on one platform, management server in one platform, gateway in one another platform. Okay, it is highly recommended by Checkpoint. Yeah, we agree on that. And the smart console application will be installed mostly on the Windows for easy of use. So Windows we can use easily, right? But in case of Linux and all, it's a command based. But in Windows, it's a GUI based. We'll be able to see the things and we'll be able to do something. Okay, so we can say like in a similar fashion, Smart Console will be usually installed on the Windows for ease of use, and this management server and gateway it works on either Windows or Linux servers. It's based on the requirement they do. Okay, this is about the deployment modes. Okay, so let's go through some recap what we discussed today. So we discussed like what is the differences what is router versus firewall, what is the differences between router and the firewall, and what is firewall, and like different types of firewalls called stateless firewall and stateful firewall. And we have many vendors available in the market, but however our focus is mainly on checkpoint firewalls. Okay, and we discussed what is interface based firewalls and zone based firewalls. And we went through like mainly checkpoint we are focusing on. So in checkpoint we have checkpoint works on the stateful inspection technology, and now the latest version what we are having is R81.10, and below are the operating systems of checkpoint. Okay, now we are using Gaia. GIAA is the operating system what we are using now. Okay, and these are the checkpoint architecture, smart console, management server and gateway. So we went through in detail about that. What is security console, smart console, what is management server, and what is gateway. And then we went through deployment modes of checkpoint firewall. One is standalone and another one is distributed deployment. Okay, so any doubts so far?
No doubts, Vardhan. Once repeat the databases based on
Sorry, Sinu.
ఇంటర్ బేస్ ఉన్నాయి కదా దాని జోన్ బేస్డ్
Ah,
ఫైర్ వాల్ ఒక్కసారి ఆ
yeah.
జోన్ బేస్డ్
Okay. ఒక్క నిమిషం టైం ఉంది కదా. I think we have 5 minutes. I will do that. Okay.
అదొక్కటే జోన్ బేస్డ్
ఒక్క నిమిషం. Mm. ఏం లేదు. Like we have a firewall, right? Okay.
ఓకే
So
ఓకే
the firewall or something, it should be having some interfaces. Okay. So interface firewall based firewall is nothing but just the traffic will go to this interface. It will check the route, or it will go. Okay. But in case of zone
ఓకే
based, we'll combine these interfaces together as
ఓకే
one zone.
ఓకే ఓకే
Okay. So interface based firewall, like we'll just keep one interface separately. Okay.
ఓకే
Suppose what happened, consider like as an example. Okay. There are HR team. Okay, here also HR team is there, but some reason they connected to different interfaces. Okay, but they want to communicate with each other. Okay, and if they want to get any access also, we'll combine them as a one zone. Okay,
Okay.
consider is a HR zone. Okay, so and we have one more server team is there. Okay, so this is not having any zone. Okay, so combination of interface